All right, y'all. So that's enough of that. My name is Ricardo Belanzar, and welcome to my channel, Lessons with Ricardo. Today we're answering the question from my brother CJ. How do I split my home network so that a portion is not on VPN and the rest is? No worries. If you don't know what the home network is or the VPN is, we're going to cover that today in addition to answering the question proposed as well. Stay tuned. Let's jump into it. All right, y'all. So we are back, and I do appreciate you sticking around. Now, disclaimer. This video is set up to cover a walkthrough for a particular product that myself and my brother CJ have, and some of you may have as well, which is the Unifi Dream Machine Pro. But no worries, if you don't have it, I will have upcoming videos covering pfSense as well as OpenWRT. And if you have any other suggestions, hey, I don't know them all. Drop them in the comment section. I'm happy to look into them, okay? This is going to be first a concept video where we're going to cover home networks as well as VPN and a lot of the benefits and some drawbacks that come with those. Then we'll work our way into the walkthrough. All right, y'all. So first, I need to cover the concepts of home network and VPN. You may or may not be familiar with either one or both of those. So I want to cover that because that's what this channel is about. I want to include everyone. So if you are not comfortable with these topics, I'm going to do my best to show these with diagrams. So please bear with me. I'm not an artist. In fact, I'm using the application to help draw this out the best I can, and I'm hoping it comes across. If I miss the mark, let me know. Now, I think the first place to start is, let's pull up this application. Now, the application I'm using is draw.io. It is a free application that I get on my operating system of Linux, but I believe it is available for all platforms. You just got to find the one that works for your computer. All right, so first thing first, found me a cloud here. I'm just going to resize it, add a label to it. I want to make sure it's very clear what we're doing. And of course, once we have that, I do want to start dropping in some components of what your home network may look like. Now, most networks, they will have a number of devices on them, but we're going to stick with very basic setup. I'm talking about just one computer, one mobile device, and maybe a TV. I'm hoping I can find a TV in here. We'll look for that in a moment. All right, let me get the laptop first. Drop that in there. There you go. Resize it. Now, a key to really going through any network diagram, especially that in this case, some may call it a network diagram, is we have to lay out the IP addressing, which will come into the topic as well when talking about VPNs. Now, we'll do the IPs in just a moment. All right, I have a mobile phone. Now I need to go and put on here the TV. Well, it says monitor, but we'll say it's a TV. Okay, close enough. And like, oh, I can't forget. We got to throw in what everyone loves, which is the Wi-Fi. So we're going to put the Wi-Fi signal in here. And really the Wi-Fi, for those who may not know, if you use the rented router from your ISP, which is also known as the internet service provider, like Verizon or Comcast, maybe Corporeal, depending on where you live, they change. But that device actually emits your Wi-Fi signal, but it is also your router. So this sign here represents both. It's the Wi-Fi access point producing the Wi-Fi signal, as well as your home router, whether you purchase yourself or you're renting from your ISP. All right, so that being done, we have the IP addressing put in here. Now I think it's time to, oh, I can barely read that. I don't know about you. I'm pretty sure you can't either. And let me figure out something I can do with this. Oh, and it popped up on the side. That's not where I want it. All right, let's keep trying. Nope, that didn't work. Let's just do this. Let's go ahead and do just a text box under, and I'll just put it over underneath it, and we'll erase the last one. All right, so I'm gonna resize it, and let's erase the last one, and there. Okay, so this is what your home network may look like. It's probably much bigger, more devices, but this captures the concept. Now let's go ahead and put on here a building. Now this building is going to represent the ISP I just mentioned. Now, why do I put this in here? Well, the reason why is because when you go out to the internet, to a website such as google.com, yahoo.com, nike.com, fanduel.com, I don't care what it is, you're never going directly to that website. In fact, every bit of your traffic has to hit the World Wide Web. Yeah, I'm kind of dating myself there, but the internet, also known as the internet, it has to be given an ID. It's very similar to these IP addresses on the devices we see in our cloud, which is 192.168.1, blah, blah, blah. We're given a public IP by the ISP, Internet Service Provider, as I stated before, Verizon, Comcast, etc. Now, put up here another cloud, and this cloud is going to represent the internet. I gave it a slightly different shape. In fact, I don't really like this color, so we'll get into that in just a moment, but let's label it first. All right, so while I'm looking for maybe a better cloud, no, no. Okay, that's actually, let me get the server drag. I did see that just now, so let's put the server on there. The server is going to represent Yahoo. Yes, I'm going with Yahoo. A lot of people don't show it enough love, so I'm going with Yahoo. And but yeah, so we're trying to reach out to Yahoo. That means we have to go through ISP, and that's what we're going to draw here. Now this will simulate a basic request. It doesn't matter which device, because at the end of the day, all of your requests leave one point of your home network, which is that all loving Wi-Fi access point slash router that you all know. So it doesn't matter which of the devices, they all go through the same point. And there you go. And let's throw in here, I want to make sure we capture the fact that there is a public IP address. We'll throw this on here. Let's resize it a little bit. All right. So you're probably thinking, so why am I covering this? Why am I going through the home network? Why does it matter? Well, the reason why I'm covering this is because my brother CJ is looking to split his network so that most of it is over VPN, which we haven't covered yet, and a portion is not. I wanted to demonstrate to you what happens to the portion of your traffic from your network that is not over VPN, so you understand some of the drawbacks of this. Let's say you cannot make it to the grocery store and you send someone that you may be familiar with but not closest with out to get your groceries. Wouldn't they expect some form of compensation? Or wouldn't you feel like you may owe them some form of compensation? I say this because the ISPs really are doing just that. They're actually taking a form of compensation, and that is in a form of data. So if you're not aware, the most valuable asset any of us have these days is our information, because information is used to generate marketing campaigns and sales. So the more information a person can gather on anyone else online, the more potential income they can make. And the ISPs take advantage of that. Let's just make it, because they're so big, I'm gonna resize it, right? I want you to see this. So because of that, they do not just relay your traffic, they're capturing where you are going. They're capturing as much data, maybe where you are at the point that you're requesting this, if you have a hotspot service. I mean, any of this stuff can be collected, and then that's exactly what they're doing. They're collecting the data in a little database, and they're packaging it together using what we call big data analytics, and they're piecing it together to find the most, I guess, suitable or valuable combination of data about you and all their other clientele to sell off to other third parties or other vendors. And hey, they make a pretty penny off of it. But how fair is it for you, right? It's almost an invasion of, what's the word? Privacy. Yes, it's an invasion of your privacy. So you surfing the web from your home network without VPN is just opening yourself up to privacy issues. And your ISP, the person providing you access to the rest of the internet, is probably the main culprit in your data being placed out there on the web. I mean, of course, they're not going to just tell you that, but actually, do they? I don't know. I haven't read the contract. I haven't read the fine print. If anyone knows where it is in the fine print that they will collect data on you, please let me know. I'm just telling you from experience with setting up and configuring servers, proxies, whatever it may be. I mean, it's so easy to turn that logging on. You want the logging on for many reasons, but with that logging comes a lot of opportunity. So that's kind of in a nutshell. So keep that in mind. So yeah, we have the data they collect about you, and that will be it. All right, so the next thing I want to cover is going to be, what is a VPN and what does it look like? Now, I will tell you, it's very hard for me to find the diagram I really wanted you all to see, but I'm going to do my best to talk to you through this and give you something to work with. So I'll put these arrows on here. Now, one arrow represents out and one arrow represents in. Doesn't matter which one you pick, okay? Now, on top of that, I'm going to throw on here some form of symbol that represents encryption. Now, why am I doing this? Because VPN, I haven't said it yet, but it stands for Virtual Private Network. Keyword being private, okay? That means it's the exclusive club. Of course, the best clubs you pay for, right? But anyway, it's an exclusive club, and they don't want anyone that's not a member in there. So they form what they call a tunnel. So only the data owned by the people who have paid their dues can be in this tunnel. The whole thing about the tunnel is that it will actually make it seem as though you are on the other side. It's a direct, it's like a hyperlink. I don't know the word. It's a word like teleportation almost, right? It's teleporting you from one point A to point B, and it's represented to you by the new IP address you're given, which will come out of their pool of IP address. Oh, let's not forget, we gotta put a house in here, right? Let's throw the house up here. And yeah, I picked one out that has a router symbol in it because they kind of do that for us. They supply us a new IP to kind of route traffic for us. So I really like this house as a symbol for that. But yeah, so let me talk about some of the benefits. So we talked about, just the basis of what virtual private network is and the construct itself. But what are the benefits of doing this? Well, if you're an individual that may partake in activities online that are restricted to certain locations, whether it be in your country, maybe out of your country, or a certain segment of the world, you can't have that resource unless you are in those areas, right? Well, VPN's first primary benefit to most consumers is the fact that it will allow you to be seen as from the location in which your service provider gives you an IP address for. So it allows you to hop around the globe without ever leaving your house. I mean, that's the best form of travel I can think of. So you could be in Manila one day, Brazil another, US, China, wherever you want to be. Now, the second benefit I want to point out is, I already hinted towards this, the exclusiveness of it, so the protection of it, the encryption of it. It narrows down and restricts who can actually be within that particular resource. So at the end of the day, you're accessing someone else's resource, and a VPN ensures that only the people it knows has the proper, it's called a client, but the proper utilities to access their VPN, their tunnel, to even get into it. So that's another benefit of it. A third benefit I would say is that it gives you some level of anonymity. So because you are no longer under your normal IP address, you are now able to surf the web as a different IP, and it kind of disguises if, and we'll go into a different video, if you're not using active cookies. So we'll talk about cookies in another video, but it's very important you know whenever you're on the VPN, it's best to use a separate browser you don't use normally, or clear your cookies and or history every time you use the VPN. If not, you're really giving your same information just under a different IP address, which may tell more of the story. But those are kind of the three big points that I wanted to raise. There are many, but those are probably the biggest three benefits I could think of. Now, the biggest drawback everyone experiences is going to be a downgrade in your internet speed. So because you are hopping and covering a much longer distance, say you are located in Wisconsin, but you want to do a VPN in Germany, the internet is still kind of physical when it comes to cable and satellite, all this other stuff. They still have some form of physical connection. So your point A of Wisconsin has to reach to Germany before it's given an IP address, which takes time. So the further you go, the slower your speeds are going to be. But that's pretty much it. Now, as I stated, we're going to mark out the ISP because when we're under VPN, it no longer exists. But I hope this captures what I just stated to you. You have the option of ISP, which will release a lot of your information to the ISP, which they're just packaging up and selling for you. Or you have the option of VPN, which will limit who can view what you're doing because the traffic is encrypted and it's coming from a totally different location than where you're at. And if you're doing it well, you're emptying out your cookies as well as your history. I do want to say, it is important to understand if you are not running your own self-hosted VPN, you are still in a situation where your privacy may be violated even though the VPN says they do not log what you're doing. You never know. You're not running the show there. That covers it. So once again, if you do not have the equipment that we're talking about today, the Unifi Dream Machine Pro, also known as UDMP, then not much more of this video is left for you. Please stick around if you'd like to know more about it or if you plan on getting one. This will be helpful. But if not, the concept we just covered really is the gist of what I wanted you to get today. And I will be dropping more videos about pfSense as well as OpenWRT, where we'll cover the same concept on those platforms. All right, let's jump into the walkthrough. Thanks for sticking around. If you have to drop, make sure you subscribe. Also hit the bell if you're on your PC. If you're on your phone, I found out from my wife and many other people, you may not see the bell option. So just hit the subscribe button and let's get into the walkthrough. All right, y'all. So as I stated, we're going to get into the walkthrough portion of the video. This is, first of all, put on the screen, a Unifi Dream Machine Pro that is by Ubiquiti, I think it was. Yeah, anyway, it'll be up here. Ubiquiti is the brand, is the vendor. And then there are a couple other models I believe this may work for, but of course it's best for you to find out by going to the GitHub repository. Yes, the application we're using to perform the splitting of our home network is called Split-VPN. It is on GitHub, and of course it'll be in the description below. Absolutely love this. It's actually a few years old, but it still works. And in fact, it has a great documentation. If you're in the world of free and open source software like this, you know documentation is really rare. If in fact, in the proprietary software world, documentation may not be rare, but it's rare to find good documentation. And this one covers both. All right, so that's enough talking about that. Let's go and jump into the interface of our UDMP. And we'll start off first by going into our network. And from network, we will then go into system. So let's go ahead and touch on that. Now, what we're looking for, what are we looking for here? Well, in this area, we're looking to turn on our SSH. SSH is secure shell. It's a way of connecting remotely from one machine to another machine. Now, by default, this UDMP does not come with that enabled, which is a great thing. It limits the options for bad actors to jump into this box if they're not legitimate people to be on your network. Now, in this case, we're going to turn it back on. So once we go to system, we'll scroll down and we'll go ahead and, once we go to system, we'll hit advanced. We'll scroll down and hit the button for enabling the SSH authentication. All right, y'all. So this is the first of many corrections to come. And yeah, I appreciate my brother CJ for pointing this out to me. The way to actually enable SSH on the UDMP is not under the network console, network configurations, is actually under console settings. And now that I think back to it, when I originally set mine up, I had the same problem. So if you did what I originally have in this video, you will end up with a refusal on port 22 when trying to SSH, and that is because you actually have not turned it on. I'm still not clear, and I have not looked into what the setting under network does, but we're going to focus on getting enabled now. So let me jump into my screen here and show you the proper steps, and then we'll continue on the video after that. So I'm going to log in, and I believe I already copied my password. If not, I am going to copy that right now. Unified password. So I promise you, I felt like such an idiot. I was like, man, dude, next time you do this or you do anything like this, make sure you're actually checking and Googling to make sure you haven't missed a step, since it's been so long since it was actually set up. Anyway, so what we have here is the console settings, not network. So do not click on network. The setting here is not going to get you the outcome you're looking for. And like I showed in my original video, this is actually not what works. So I'm still not sure what this does. So directly access your network devices through SSH authentication. So directly access your network devices through SSH authentication. I am not understanding what that does, but hey, I'm pretty sure. Can you SSH from? Oh, do you think maybe this is SSH performing SSH from within the console of the router itself? That may be what it is. But anyway, getting back over to what we're actually trying to do. Let's go over here, console settings, and scroll down, and you will see this entry here under advanced where it has SSH. This is what you want to tick, and then you can change your password. That is it. You do this, and now we can continue on with the rest of the video. I appreciate you being patient with me. I apologize for miscommunication before and any confusion, but hey, let's jump into the rest of the video. Thanks. All right, so let's go and jump into my Linux terminal. Now, of course, you have Mac terminals very similar. And if you have Windows, it'll be Mobile Xterm or PuTTY are probably the most popular. But either way, let's get into SSH. Now, the command is pretty simple. We're going to do SSH root at the address of 192.168.1.1. Now, I do want you to pay attention. The version of my screen is 3.2.7. But you probably also ask yourself, hold on, Ricardo, you put root, but the screen previously gave a different username. I understand. I have no idea where the mix-up is and how that works. If you know, please tell us. Anyway, I know it works this way. So we're in the machine. It verified with the banner. And I do want to show you also another option is you can always do this command, which I'm showing through the alias I created for my UDMP. Now this command is important if you run in version 2 and you chose not to upgrade to 3. Version 2 for some reason does not understand how to do the RSA authentication, and we have to give it additional parameters to teach it how to connect over SSH. All right, so now that we're there, let's jump into pulling the files down from GitHub. Of course, we'll use the curl command. Now, I did not make this up. I did not learn this. This is actually given in the documentation, as I stated. Really well documented. And I'm going to make one slight change. I don't want to do the shell execution right away, so I'm going to take the pipe sh off and replace it with a .o, which is for output, and give it a new file name, and enter. There we go. Let's check it, and it is there. Also, let's go and check some stats about the file. And we have the size here. We see it's a regular file, and just some of the date stamps on there. So, really useful command. I wish I had the file command to really give a little more details, but it's okay. Now, one thing we'll notice is that the file is not executable by default, so we do have to make it executable. We do this by using the chmod +x, and this is in Linux or Mac. I believe works the same way. If it does not work for your platform, please Google the option and let's run it. All right, that was pretty quick. Now, full disclosure, I already have this installed. I'll walk through these steps with you just so you see how it looks on your end of things and what to expect. Once you install, if you're running version 2 or 3, you're going to be given a new directory under /data/split-VPN. You'll also be given a directory of /etc or etc/split-VPN. Both of those directories you want to check for, which we're checking for now. Now, in my setup, because I already ran this, you will notice that there is a run-vpn.sh file that is already there, as well as a folder VPN is located in there as well. But we're actually not going to be working with that one. We're working with one under etc today. So just to make sure, yeah, nothing else is there. Just wanted to check, make sure. All right, so next we're going to go ahead and jump into the etc directory. All right, and in here we have the same folder structure as the /data split VPN. I don't know why they are pretty much mirroring each other in a sense. I just never looked into it. I'm more of a, hey, if it works kind of guy, let's run with it till I find more time to dig deeper. And I'm happy to look into digging deeper if that's something that you're really interested in. But yeah, split. Now, notice that I created a folder called Proton VPN. That tells you a little bit about my VPN service. Yes, I use Proton VPN. I know some people may not like it. In fact, I'm looking to change anyway. But until then, this is what I'm running. So you have to make a folder structure that that shows, really, it's just for your well-being. You can name it anything, but it's encouraged to name it based on the actual service you're using. Because you could run multiple VPNs using this product. So you have one that's for Nord, one that's for Proton, and they can literally connect to different portions of your network however you want to do it. talking about the different portions of the network. Let's jump into the file. We'll open up the file vpn.conf, so that's conf, and look at this. So you'll see mine is already listing the source IPv4 as a CIDR block, which means it's not a specific IP address, it's a range of IP addresses, which I have a VLAN already set up on my home router. Now we'll discuss VLANs in a different video, but just know that's what I chose to put there. You can also put individual IP addresses, and it does give you something to walk through there. We'll just continue scrolling through this, look for some of the more important things. And the biggest thing I wanted to point out is you could do based on port. You could do port forwarding. You could also do it based on VPN. You could also do the VPN based on ports, and also exempt the certain IP addresses out of a range you provide. So if you give a range like I did, you can say within that range, please remove these computer IPs out of it, so they will not get the VPN. Now, what else do we have here? I want to now scroll down to the kill switch. Now, the reason why kill switch is such an important factor for me is because there's something called leakage when it comes to VPNs. Basically, that means at some point in your connection, your data is exposed. To ensure that your data does not get exposed, your data does not get exposed, this application allows you to do a kill switch, which will say if for any reason your VPN is not active, we will terminate your connection until it is active again. Now this does go hand in hand with black holes, which if you stick around for the bonus part of this video, I will walk you through how to set up black holes as well, which goes even further with ensuring that there is no leakage when you're actually using your home router and the VPN. All right, so we'll jump out of here. This is obviously the OpenVPN version of the file, but they do have other versions, other protocols you can use. All right, so what other file do we have here? We also have the username underscore password.txt and the run-vpn.sh. Those are other big files we want to cover. So let's get into the run-vpn.sh. Actually, we also want to look at the protonvpn.ovpn, which is just a config file produced by VPN, well, produced to support the OpenVPN protocol. But we'll start with the run. So now we've opened up the run-vpn.sh. This is just to show you how everything is executed at the end of the day, and this is what the application Split-VPN uses to kick off or start your VPN service connection. Now, I'm not going to walk through all these options. Honestly, I don't know what all of them even do, but some of them just stand out, such as the up and down scripts that you have in here, and obviously the config where you're pointing to your OPVN file, which is where we'll cover in a moment. That's where you actually stash your credential access. Speaking about OpenVPN file or OVPN file, let's look at mine. So for Proton, we're going to have a lot of stuff in here. IP addresses has a disclaimer at the top. Well, I guess more data. But the biggest thing to focus on is how do we authenticate? Now, of course, when you purchase a service, and I recommend purchasing your VPN because free ones, they're definitely going to collect your data. There's no way around it. They're not free for no reason. Now, if you purchase the VPN service, you have to provide your credentials showing that you are the right person or the expected individual to be using that account. We do this by passing in an argument, which is auth-user-pass, and we point it to the file we created that will hold the username and password. Now, of course, I can show you the file, but it's going to be blurred out because you're not using my credentials. But it's really just a simple entry. There's no additional text or labeling in there. Is just literally the username, and then the next line is the password. Let me show you that real quick. There you go. All right, so I believe the last thing here is, yes, we have to make sure that the run-vpn.sh file that you just created, and I've already created, which is in the description below, you make it executable on your router, okay? And I just thought about it. I mentioned earlier about a command running, whether it's on Windows or Mac or it doesn't matter. We're all inside of the same router. I just thought about that. Oh man, late. So all these commands are going to work the exact same, no matter what. Well, let me not say that. You might have a really weird version. Okay, so there we have it. We just checked it and it shows to be green now, and that means it is executable. We're not going to run it now. In fact, I already have mine running, but what I do want to do is just show you the persistence portion of this. Now, I talk about persistence because if you have it set up to do automatic updates, or if you choose to update, there's a good chance that the machine may choose to restart or need to restart. And of course, when it restarts, these scripts are not services, so they don't automatically rerun. Yeah, we have a couple options, such as cron jobs or something like that, but for the most part, there's a way around that. And they came up with that with the Split VPN GitHub repository. They give you a script that you should run to make it persistent and to execute by way of service. So first I show you the script. And honestly, if you're on the GitHub, you will notice mine looks totally different because I got lazy. I had a situation where I first started doing this, and the way I was supposed to do the script, it did not work for some reason. I was just way too tired to find out why. So I decided, hey, why not just copy everything over from the other script into this one in the newer directory or the higher level directory and run it from there. And guess what? It worked. So, hey, it's ugly, but it works. But I will say this. If you had multiple, like I said, you could do multiple services, you would want to point one entry in this file to each of the execution scripts, which will have their own VPN config files, which you can set up for different VLANs on the same router. Really cool when you look at it that way. You can have NordVPN, you have PIA, you can have Proton VPN, all three of them, and have three separate VLANs on your home router, all running on this one execution. Well, I guess three executions in one. But yeah, you get the point. All right, so that is pretty much it. The last stop here is going to be set up our service. So let's get into our service, and the service is going to be to run a curl command, which let's pull that up on the screen here. And yeah, it's going to be as simple as curl. There's going to be a curl-o, which is just outputting. So the file we're outputting is actually going to be the service file under the directory of etc slash systemd slash system slash the name of the file, which is run-vpn.service. Then, of course, we're going to tell it where to download from. And let's run it. And while it runs, it will pull back and tell you, well, you'll be able to search for the new service file, which we'll do now. We'll cat it out just so you see what it does, because there are some changes that you want to make. Now, I'm catting mine out because I already changed mine, but I will point out the basic stuff you want to make sure. There's really not much. It's like, I believe, one line, and everything works after that. There you have it. So the only thing you want to make sure is really updated is the execution start, because it should be the same for everyone, but sometimes it's different. So if you change your directory where you're running your master run script from, which is the one that can point to multiple, I don't know why I did the master double quotes again, but anyway, the one that points to multiple execution scripts or multiple folders per VPN service, then you want to change this. If you left it like mine and you left it like the default, then honestly, this service script runs right off the box. And there you have it. Let's test it. We're going to pull up, let's clear the screen, and yeah, there we have it. We're going to use the systemctl command, hit status, and then give it the name of the service, which is run-vpn, and it shows mine is active. It's been active for 5 days. Yours will be active for a few minutes, if that. All right, y'all, so that's it. We're set up. Now, there are a couple things extra. Like I said, there's a bonus part of this video which walks you through setting up the black hole to ensure there is no VPN data leakage. And then there's also, we have to always test and make sure it works and that you believe what I'm telling you is actually there. I call it techno-proof. So let's get into that portion, and let me pull up my other computer. Now, I do apologize in advance. The quality for this one is off because it's a Windows box. I'm still learning how to set up my screen capture application on there at the right resolution, and it just didn't come across as well this time around. But yeah, I will work on that. I'll continue to practice and hopefully improve. So there's a little grainy on it, but I think you can get the gist of it. So I'm on my standard Wi-Fi SSID, which is ST_N3W, and this is what my IP address looks like now. Of course, we have to switch over to my VLAN that is labeled as VPN. Well, I guess I should say the wireless access point network that is labeled VPN-M3. And let's go ahead and refresh our page, and we will get a new IP address. There you have it. Now, I'm only going to expose the last octet, or the last set of numbers after the last period, dot. And that's obviously for my safety reasons, my privacy, but you get the point. That's what it looks like. Now, of course, as I mentioned before, speeds are a huge downfall. Let's take a look at what my speeds look like first under the VPN. And yeah, not horrible. Definitely enough for streaming services, but not what I would expect paying for a gig line. Of course, there are other factors that go into this. And then mainly being is Wi-Fi. On my setup, my Wi-Fi access point will not clock at anything above 220 megabytes per second, even though the hardwired or Ethernet ported computers can do exactly 900 and, well, around 980, 990, which is very close to a gig. All right, so obviously my regular service without VPN runs much better, and well, not even much better, but it runs better. And then the upload speeds are amazing compared to the VPN. Well, that's it, y'all. So if you want to do the bonus video, stick around just for a moment. We'll do the bonus video. If not, I appreciate you. Make sure you subscribe and return for the next video where we're going to cover setting up the VLANs. That's going to be a lot of fun. That's where a lot of you all will get the most out of your routers. And this applies to pretty much any router slash modem you may have that you purchase aftermarket. You can do at least 2 VLANs. Sometimes it's called IoT, sometimes it's called a guest, but let's consider a separate VLAN. Now, mine allows me to do, honestly, as many VLANs. Well, I don't know the max, but I have enough for what I want. But the wireless access networks that I set up, I am limited to 4, but that's just what I have. So VLANs are next in the next video coming up. So until then, subscribe, like, comment, share, and stick with me. The journey is still much more to come. All right, y'all. So this is the bonus section. Yes, I appreciate you sticking around this long. I know it's a lot to this video, but honestly, we're doing a lot of good work because your privacy, your safety is important not only to you, but also to me. I want to make sure when you are a part of my circle that you understand everything that's happening around you, or at least as much as possible is happening around you, to be safe online, and to also teach your friends and families the same things I'm teaching you today. The more we know, the better we can be. All right, so that means let's jump into the interface of the UDMP, and we're going to go right into routing. So this is obviously under networking, under the settings, and then we're going to routing. From here, we're going to click on static routes. I'm just going to give you a view of this. So the view is obviously grayed out because I don't have it active now, but I'm actually turning it on just for you. And I've already done this since this video has posted. So I will tell you this much. I originally did not have it on because I was afraid that it would affect all my devices, even the ones not, I guess, labeled in the vpn.conf file. Now, as a reminder, the black holes are actually set up so that it will terminate. So it will terminate all, I mean all, internet access, even network connectivity, until it has received a signal from the split VPN application slash tooling on the router that everything is good to go, that a VPN connection has been made. But the other way around that is, hey, if something is glitching and messing up, you can always still access your router directly from a connected device, something that's connected hardwired through Ethernet. I don't know about Wi-Fi, but I know Ethernet works just fine. Jump into the IP address 198.162.1.1 for most of them, and just go in and disable these routes, and it will be reestablished, and you'll be good to go. That's what I have to do, and that's why it's grayed out. But anyway, so these are the settings. Add these things in here. We're going to do create entry, and we'll just add them in, and then we'll save, and that's it. We'll jump into the box. Let's SSH back into it, and from there we'll go ahead and check the service, and then we'll stop the service, and then we will restart it. And that's it. That's the bonus. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Check you next time. Bye.